All right, guys, we are back here. Welcome to the ESL. Welcome to the Go4 Americas. No, Go for the Heroes. I always say this. I always say Go for Americas. I don't know why, but it's the Go4Heroes Americas Cup #9 quarterfinals. We're here. Evil Geniuses and Team Heroes Hype. They just came off a really good win. Team Heroes Hype. Almost 2 talent tiers by the end of it all.
Yeah, just Team Wrecked, obviously a new team, has to get their coordination down a little bit. Team Hero Hype as a group of players who've been playing together for quite some time, and that was very evident if you guys are around for the last game. But now Team Heroes Hype definitely has a little bigger challenge in front of them in Evil Geniuses, which is a team who have been going in and out. They've had their 3 core members with LZ, Idra, and Faye for the better part since they were way back in Snowflake. I mean, since the inception of competitive Heroes of the Storm. Kawaii Rice seems to have filled in the support role pretty well. If you were into the StarCraft 2 North American scene all the way back on the Wings of Liberty Day, you're probably familiar with him. And as we touched on before the game, ZP has been playing with them as their 5th member, playing, I believe, the main warrior support for quite some time with varying success.
Well, yeah, I've only seen him, these last 2 weeks or so, but it's been predominantly Kerrigan and Zeratul play.
That's right. Is it? Okay, I'm just so used to seeing him on Warriors that I go by default. So he's the warrior player.
All good.
Okay, but they're definitely a well-established team of good players who have been putting up moderate amounts of success. So Team Heroes Hype definitely are going to have to get their act together if they want to get through this one. But the draft is underway here, Sean, and it's looking eerily familiar to the last game.
All right, so let's take a quick gander over there to the draft side. It was Heroes Hype that started off first, and look at that. ZP's well-known for his Kerrigan, gets a Kerrigan band to his name. Flip side, those Stitches, because that is just how we do here in this current meta.
That's right.
On Dragonshire, I don't really feel like Stitches is huge for the Dragonshire, but at the same time, it's just that constant hook pressure.
Yes.
Even if you don't even take fishing hook or helping hand, any of that, it's all about stun slam builds. Just the fact that you can hook, devour, blink. It's too much, man. It's too much.
There's so much strength to him. But we'll go over that at a different point in time because he's not going to be in the game. Because don't get me started on Stitches, because then by the time this game is over, I'll still be talking about Stitches. Tassadar and Vala being picked up for Evil Geniuses. Tassadar has been a priority pick for majority teams for quite some time. However, I don't think there's any other team that puts more priority on that hero than Evil Geniuses. Not even nearly as much priority as Evil Geniuses. Obviously, at BlizzCon, they were first picking him like every single match, but Evil Geniuses is a much different team now than they were at BlizzCon. The meta is a much different meta. The hero itself is much different than it was at BlizzCon. Nonetheless, Evil Geniuses is still putting big priority on that Tassadar. Actually, teams that faced Evil Geniuses actually occasionally ban him out against him because it's so well known that they do that. But Vala, well-known, multi-shot build, well done. And over on the side of Heroes Hype, we have a Tychus pickup, no surprise there. Follow-up pickup with the Witch Doctor and the Sergeant Hammer. Who is, I know Sean is definitely being tickled by that, but Sergeant Hammer is very strong on Dragonshire for a multitude of reasons, and you're the Sergeant Hammer expert, man.
I absolutely love my Hammer. She's still my most played, most win on my account, and going into the Hero League, it always tickles me pink to see Hammers coming in because she's very variable. She is very strong, but she's also very counter pickable, and we did leave a lot of room here for Evil Geniuses to counterpick. But also what confuses me a little bit here is the fact we have double specialist. That is not something that we see a lot of in terms of success. But this is a bit of a smaller map. It is definitely a bit more of a defend the point kind of meta. Get the kills, defend the point, get the dragon. So maybe they're going to turn that opinion around for me today, but I'm going to hold a little bit of reserve doubt in that because, look at this. Flip side, we get a Zeratul, great for picking off these less mobile specialists. And also, we have an Uther to go with that Tassadar. So we're going to be looking for a warrior last pick, but between the Tassadar shields, the heals from Uther, and a sprint into a Divine Storm, I mean, I don't know, man. This is, you take that Sergeant Hammer so early, you leave yourself vulnerable, and I fear a little bit for these last picks.
I agree with you, especially if EG picks up Muradin. ZP is known also as a very good, strong, he's a good player no matter who he gets his hands on, but he has been playing a lot of Muradin since we've started to see Muradin come into the scene. I saw ZP playing Muradin before Muradin was even really that well established in the current North American meta. So I won't be surprised to see a Muradin pick up, but again, there's going to be a Tyrael option. There's also the ETC option as well. But as you mentioned, to touch a little bit more on what you just mentioned, rather, with the Sergeant Hammer being picked up this early on, is she can be dealt with a large number of ways, but a big one is the Zeratul Void Prison that allows Uther to get in position, even if he just puts himself inside the Void Prison, spamming his R button, spamming his E button, and that's going to enable Tassadar and Vala to just pick the Sergeant Hammer off before whoever is playing that hammer is able to get the boost out of there, especially now that Evil Geniuses has got their 5th and final pickup in the Tyrael, so now that is compounded by a Judgment as well. So that Sergeant Hammer is going to have to play one hell of a game to keep him/her, him being the player, her being the character, alive. Even with the support Bright Wing coming in there, that's going to be one big challenge to keep that hammer alive.
Yeah, the Bright Wing's going to look for the reset with the Emerald Wind. We got the with the Tyrael, but it's the Arthas on the flip side. 4th pick Arthas, last pick Tyrael.
I know,
man.
What is this?
Very different compared to what we're used to seeing. If you'd like to give the go-ahead there in the chat, Mr. Shane, we will get this match rolling. But EG and Team Heroes Hype, again, I'm good. This is a thing that Team Heroes Hype has to prove to me. Prove to me that double specialist pick this early can deal with these counters, because you mentioned it, the VP, the Divine Storm. We could even have a Reign of Vengeance on the back of all this.
That is also a good point, yes.
Anybody here and collapse, especially if you get those stuns off during the wind-up to the Emerald Wind, that puts it on a 10-second cooldown.
Yeah, that's that Bright Wing is going to have to land some money. Emerald Winds. The Arthas as well. Obviously, he's going to have to zone quite a bit. The thing I fear for Evil Genius, not fear, but I feel one of the weaknesses in EG is that they don't have. They're pretty weak in the front line. Tyrael is more of a bruiser. I think that's what the vernacular it's going around for this type of hero. He's more of a bruiser than he is a warrior per se. It's not like he's in the front line. Exactly. Yeah. He's not like a Arthas or a ETC or a Stitches where you sit in the front line and you just try to zone and be big and be in the way. Tyrael's a little bit more finesse, a little more damage. You have to use your Eldruins, throw it in the back line, use your Judgment, teleport back to your Eldruins, make sure you don't get picked off, utilize your E accordingly with your shields, be in good communication with your Uther more so on Tyrael than more other tanky warriors to make sure that you can go in, Holy Light's on cooldown, things along that matter. We're going to see how this game pans out, though, as we are inside of the game. The gates are about to go down here on the left side of your map. The boys in blue, the team in blue. Evil Geniuses, ZP playing the Zeratul, LZ Gamer playing that Tyrael. Idra on one of his flagship heroes, almost said Tyrael, what the? Arthas. Tassadar. Words are hard. Kawaii Rice playing the Uther, and Faye playing the Vala Demon Hunter.
Yeah, absolutely. On the flip side, as we saw in game number 1 of today's coverage, we do got Team Heroes Hype and Hype. Suki going to the top. Hawk Fu to be protected, not in the bottom lane. They're going to actually split up their specialists. Ursadon holding down the mid on the Tychus, and that leaves us with Taza and Yuki, both very survivable heroes into the bottom party lane. First level talents are up, and ZP's is trying to do a little bit of fun here into the top as he did dart in and out. ZP's with the block. This is something that we've been seeing predominantly, I want to say, on ZP's and Zuna, rather than some of our other Zeratools. But yeah, the block kind of coming in. He's going to be that front line. I wouldn't be too surprised to see a first aid coming in later, or maybe he's just going to say, all right, block's enough. We're going to go for the rending. And right now, though, Yuki's got to be a bit careful, but he does get off the wall. Kawaii Rice now taking a lot of damage. He's already got one stun, one heal off. And the poison and Taz's slow combo is enough to take him home.
Big overextension there from Evil Geniuses with Kawaii Rice diving underneath those towers and getting a kill off. So well done by Team Heroes 5, getting the first blood. Right as the Dragon Shrines pop up, we're going to see both these teams struggle to get that level 4. Pretty safe lane with the Tassadar in mid. Looks like he's rotating a little bit. Top lane, though, Sergeant Hammer is always hard to deal with no matter who you are. Surprised they're not putting that Sergeant Hammer bottom, but obviously their laning configuration is a little bit more different emphasis than what Evil Genius is doing, and I like the dichotomy going on there. I want to talk about Faye, though. Looks like she's showing signs of going that single target build, so we're seeing more emphasis on single target damage. Speaking of which, down here in the bottom lane, Taz is going to overextend a little bit. He went right onto that shrine with no vision. He got Hammer of Justice into ZP. He got taken out. Both teams level 4.
Yeah, both teams level 4. You know, there is something to be said about putting the hammer into the top lane here with Suki. It will keep him very healthy, keep him very protected, you know, between this speed up for the getaway, between the polymorph coming out, you know, ZPs. Yeah. He's actually going to knock back into these mines, takes a good bit of damage. There's the polymorph there as well. And LZ, even LZ coming in here, even Idra coming up top. This is still only going to bring Hawkfu down to half. And now with that sustained healing from the Brightwing, will keep her up. The bottom lane has proven that they can handle this 2v3 pressure. I mean, we did have that kill on top of Tazza, but they did get the first blood there. Top of Kawhi Rice, trapping him down here as well. But Faye is just getting off too many free shots. She is going to have to, you know, they're going to actually have to back off because ZP is actually down there now as well. Faye, you know, really good positioning on her end, a lot of free damage coming their way. But level 5 each side, it is more of a multi-shot, more of that single target build from Faye. And this is something we've been seeing on Idra more as of late as well. It's likely to be the searing attacks and the Giant Slayer as well. But, you know, it's more and more just evil geniuses with that build than anybody else I've seen lately.
And I was touching on it before. I'll say a little bit more about it again. I feel like it's because they're just, their game plan seems to be with looking at how the game is going so far. Obviously, we'll see that once we hit level 10 and 13, is just focus down that hammer, focus the hammer, focus the hammer. And the reason I'm saying that is because of the build that Faye is going with the single target. Emphasis on the single target damage, emphasis on the single target disable with the Uther Hammer Justice, with the Tyrael Judgment and whatnot. I think that's really what we're going to see in these team fights, is them just focusing down this hammer, trying to catch him out of position. Because you mentioned in the draft, with the lineup that Heroes Hype has, without that hammer, they're going to have a really hard time having any success. Speaking of which, hammer top lane, Hawkfu is just caught out of position, 3-man rotation. Korai securing the kill on him with the Hammer Justice. Well done by them. And this might be a Dragon Knight. Oh no, very close. Team Heroes Hype was almost able to get a Dragon Knight there, but LZ Gamer kept him off of it.
Yeah, and ZPs was able to actually capture at the top on the death of that Hawkfu. So Hawkfu, I mean, she was down there, and so right now that hammer has actually done work. Look at this top; it is completely gone, as apparently so is Vala bottom lane. The Ragdoll physics putting her behind the wall, but the hammer has done, you know, the work that they need to. They put up the pressure top. They've consistently seen ZPs up here. We've seen the mid ganks coming up here as well. Idra's actually going to get polymorphed out there from Suki, and now we do got the dragon pressure once more. LZ should be able to delay it a bit. But still, the hammer so far has been very successful up top. It's drawn a lot of attention. They've gotten themselves those turrets. That also leads them into the level lead. At this point, we're going to see ults and heroics coming out of Team Heroes Hype just a good bit before Evil Geniuses.
And that small window of opportunity, if they jump on an opportunity, if Evil Geniuses doesn't recognize it, can really snowball into a Dragon Knight, which then can turn into towers, and then you have level 13 well before. So it really establishes a good mid game. But I think Evil Geniuses, they're a veteran team. All the teams on there, all the players on that team rather, are all very well experienced. I don't think they're going to be out of position when they do hit level 10. They're probably just going to sit back, hit level 10 themselves, and then take it from there. Cleanse being picked up by the Brightwing. I like that choice. Suki is really going to have to be very aware of when to use that cleanse, probably for the initiation on the inevitable initiation onto the hammer, also utilizing the Emerald Wind as well, no surprise. So the cleanse and the Emerald being picked up as a good counter initiation disengagement tool. And on the Vala, now that both teams hit level 10, the Rain of Vengeance. So once again, further emphasis on the Void Prison with the Rain of Vengeance, with so many tools coming up from Evil Geniuses to deal with this, not only their team specifically, but the hammer even more specifically.
Yep, it's definitely going to be a big CC stack if we actually do get to that point. ZP is now going to be coming down here. Again, at the level 7, since he has the block, he decides he doesn't need the first aid, goes with the Rending Cleave. It's going to be a little bit more DPS to him in terms of sustaining a fight, clearing out creep waves, just get out there with a Q and move on. Suki, thinking about going back home, but no, it's... Wow, did you see that cleanse? Woo. That cleanse was huge on top of Yuki. That was not judgment damage or the knockback. Really good timing out of there from Suk, and that is going to be an ult for nothing, essentially, as now we're having a bigger collapse into the bottom lane from Heroes Hype. But if they collapse, I mean, that's just going to lead us into the Wombo if ZPs is on top of things. But it doesn't look like they're actually going to do that. They're just going to split and soak.
That's what I mentioned with Suki on that cleanse, man. If he's got a quick trigger finger, he is going to make some really strong plays, and that's exactly what he did right there. Because Judgment does have a wind-up. And if you're paying real close attention, you're gonna be able to cleanse it. But oh no, from the back, Evil Geniuses sweeping in from the east, going down here onto Yuki. He's way out of position, away from the rest of his team. Void Prison gonna take the Odin out of game for just a little bit. Divine Storm used, but looks like those defensive Divine Storm. They are diving hard for this Quiet Rice, but he's gonna be able to get away inevitably. Yuki very low. There's our first death of this team fight, but Team Heroes Hype is in a good position maybe to turn this around. Nope, they do not. I don't know if they can dive underneath this tower here, but they are going to try to take it down. And once that is down, that might be a moment for them to re-engage rather, onto Evil Geniuses. Evil Geniuses recognize it though. Looks like they're going to be backing up, falling back to some objectives.
Well, so the problem with that is that we didn't have the Judgment ready to go for the tier. He had already used it, and he dived really hard trying to take out Suki. Who was our Yuki, not Suki. And our Witch Doctor. The Witch Doctor got off a great Ravenous. We don't have Cast Aside. I mean, we don't have Cast Aside from the level 13 talents for the tier, so he wasn't able to do anything except auto attack. And now, because he's not on the front line, that did lead us into some bigger increased pressure. We didn't have a big answer here for Hawk Fu, who just sieged up and just started slamming on people. And Suki. Yeah, Suki, speaking of slamming on people, gets absolutely slammed. There's the Cast Aside, and that is going to be the combo that we were looking for in the previous fight on top of Hawk Fu. But we're 8 minutes in, Shane, and no dragons have actually popped as of yet.
Yeah, these teams are just going, screw the dragon. Let's just go ahead, get in the ring, and start trading blows. But as we say that, it looks like Evil Geniuses is going to be close. They are going to be able to get the first Dragonite at the 8 minutes mark. Going to get these towers. They might be able to make a push here into the fort mid lane. It all depends on their ultimates. But, I mean, everyone from Team Heroes Hype is going to be up. Ultimates are going to be refreshed for Team Heroes Hype specifically if they aren't up already. While Evil Geniuses, Reign of Vengeance and cooldown, Judgment was just used. So they're going to have to really be careful with this Dragon Knight. I don't know if they're going to push for a fort. Maybe just try to get some tier 1 towers, and that looks like that's what they're going to be doing.
Look here is that he's actually heading top instead of bottom. There's only one tower sitting up here, but it's just saying this was my lane, and I am now, it's like almost like a dog marking this territory. It's like, yeah, this is mine.
Right.
Unfortunately, he did not go bottom. He's not going to get off huge amounts of damage, and he is actually going to lose majority of his hit points on the back of all that as well.
Yeah, they were able to get 3 towers out of it, which is that's an okay trade for a dragon. I mean, the dragon's not the
sure, it's like
right
5 minute mark.
Yeah, I know. I was like, it's okay at best. Down here in mid lane, I heard Phase Shift into an Emerald 1 ZP, way out of position. He is Polymorph. Can he get that blink off? A good Void Prison. The second Polymorph securing the kill on ZP. Well done by Suki. He has been playing so well on that Brightwing so far. The Void Prison was pretty good, but it was a defensive panic. No, I wouldn't say panic, but definitely a defensive Void Prison, and there was no follow-up from Evil Geniuses. This is a good opportunity for Team Heroes Hype to get themselves on the map, get some mercenaries, push down mid lane, exactly what they're doing, and get some more map control in their favor.
Tyrael's here, he's ready to go. He has that Judgment. We do got the Reign of Vengeance and the Archon ready to go. We might be down a ZP's and his Void Prison on top of that, but we are still not out of this yet here from Evil Geniuses. They're thinking about this engage. They're looking for the best opportunity. Taz is really the big target here in the front. That's going to be the caster side. Puts Hawk Fu a little bit too far forward. Does have the first aid available to him. Now LZ is getting really just slammed on in the back of it. We're still looking for that Judgment, but he decides, nope, this is not a good time to use it. They don't blow up anything. And it looks like it will just end up being a 1-0 for kills. 9 kills in 10 minutes? Not what I would have expected out of a Dragon Shire game.
One thing that Tyrael doesn't have that most warriors have is Relentless, and that's a big deal when you're facing a Brightwing, because you're going to get 2 full duration when they're about to hit 16. Inevitably, Brightwing is going to get that criticized, so he's going to take criticized. I love that little
Critterize.
Play up, Critterize. I keep calling it criticize. The Critterize, there it is. So he's going to take 2 full duration polymorphs of being able to do nothing except move around and take 25% extra damage. So LZ Gamer is now going to have to be even more careful about his Judgment, because he can just absolutely get blown up. Same with ZP. If ZP isn't quick on his wormhole and he gets caught with 2 full duration polymorphs, he's dead to rights. So Evil Geniuses really, they have great initiation, have a lot of single target burst damage, but themselves are also almost like a glass cannon type of build. And there it goes, Hawk Fu going right onto him. So much priority putting on that hammer, but he's gonna be able to get safely away underneath the towers. Suki healing him up with his passive healing. And both these teams look like neither of them want to commit to a full team fight right now.
Mr. Shane, please use your words.
I know, my brain's like, I'm not gonna work.
Yeah, it's definitely betraying you a little bit here today. Good collapse coming on into this bottom lane. Kawhi Rice is going to be a big target here. Did get 1 and 2 for the Polymorphs. It's not going to be a big position here for Divine Storms. Not that Kawhi was actually looking for it, but, you know, I've done this before with that Brightwing. You need to get those Polymorphs there on top of the big stun guy, because that stun, very good timing on the Emerald Wind. Otherwise, that would have put it onto a 10-second cooldown. Idra is now taking some big damage here from Hawk Fu as well. But, you know, Taz is thinking, all right, they're all split, and kind of deciding still what to do. It's going to be a cast-aside combo into Hawk Fu. It's not going to be enough to keep him up, even with that first aid. Good stuns, though, on top of Yuki with that Rain of Vengeance. Taza still alive on the back of all this. The Uther and Ghost combo now here with the Tira. He blows up on top of Suki, but I'm not entirely too sure we have enough left in the tank here from Evil Geniuses.
Both these teams are on empty right now. Idra, he's solo. He's going to be going down. Ursa with the first aid. He's going to keep himself alive. So it's a very back and forth exchange right now. They were able to get Hawk Fu off. They used a lot to get that Sergeant Hammer down, but it just they blew a little too much to get those first 2 kills on the turnaround from Heroes Hype, able to get that exchange in their favor, a 4-for-2 exchange. I don't know if we're going to see, they can go for a Dragon Shrine here. Evil Geniuses should be able to, specifically FaZe, should be able to keep Yuki off of this shrine, though.
Yeah, we don't actually have anybody mid, though, to go there.
Yeah.
So Ursadon, he's kind of out of, I don't want to say out of luck, but at the same time, Suki was still up. He actually came bottom. He phase shifted in. Yuki is now going to be able to pick up the dragon here, uncontested, because we still have those death timers ticking away from Evil Geniuses. So this is going to lead us into a really nice push, because there's nothing sweeter for pushing than a Dragon Knight backed up by a Sergeant Hammer.
So they're going to be pushing down this mid lane. Meanwhile, top lane, that fort is very susceptible to going down. It's been out of ammo for a large point of time, but I don't think that lane is going to be pushing in anytime soon. Obviously, the emphasis down here in the mid lane with Team Heroes Hype knocking on the door. They got their eyes on that keep. Evil Geniuses are going to do everything in their power to defend. They do always have the Tassadar shields to help mitigate the damage from the Dragon Knight, but Team Heroes Hype, their eyes are not getting bigger than their stomach this time around. Looks like they just want to take down these doors here. They're kicking in the door, but they haven't really got through it quite yet, and they really need to not overextend here, because that could go poorly for them. We're at this stage of the game where timers are long enough to where 1 or 2 people just getting picked off, even if it's not a full team fight, can translate into a whole lane of towers and forts going down. The Dragon Knight is taking a lot. I mean, he's about to go down. He's still got 17 seconds, so not the best utilization of a strong Dragon Knight at the 15-minute mark. And ZP going in there, throwing some spikes on Suki. Suki is pretty low. There is the Hammer of Justice into Divine Storm. The Emerald Whim kind of bugged out there. Kawhi Rice apparently just bugged right on through it. So Brightwing is down. No support for Team Heroes High, but they don't care. They're turning around. LC Gamer is trying to float himself out of harm's way. He was in harm's way, but he's going to be able to get away successfully. So with Brightwing going down here, I don't know. I mean, Team Heroes Hype, they used a lot of ultimates, and it looks like they really want to push the issue. Odin this year, Army of the Dead was used. Kawhi Rice going in there, Rain of Vengeance on the Hawk Fu. Hawk Fu was in siege mode, and he's just going to get absolutely destroyed. There's a Ravenous Spirit, but he gets interrupted by that Judgment immediately. LC Gamer was obviously looking for that cast aside, pushing Taz to the side. ZP's going to end up killing him since he was up there waiting in the bush, and that's going to be a full 5-man team wipe. Exactly what I was talking about. They had to be careful. They had to not overextend. They popped a lot of ultimates after their Brightwing went down, but they wanted to force the issue. They should have just backed off there and just gone, you know what? This is a bad fight. This is a loss for us. Let's do some damage control, get back, get some map control, get some mercenary camps, but instead they ended up giving a full team wipe, and that might cost them a keep here in bottom lane.
We haven't really seen a lot of mercs, but I do have to actually throw out one thing. It's just, you said that the Uther bugged through that Emerald Wind, but remember, he has Cleanse, sir. Cleanse.
Did he cleanse himself? I didn't see
He had to have cleansed himself. That was the only way he's able to walk right through that. But Suki not going to get it that time, but Zeratul is actually going to drop the lone butterfly, actually get him in the kill. But, I mean, we haven't seen a lot of merc camps. We haven't really seen huge pushes. Even this push, you know, they clean up the tower bottom. They go through the wall to the keep. They left these towers standing. You don't see that every day, but Evil Geniuses, they're hungry. They know what they want. That will actually give them catapults now as well to be marching down that bottom lane. But overall, a really good fight for them. They juggled their hit points very effectively. The positioning from Hawk Fu was way too forward. The Ravenous did not get off anything. And but you know, even on the back of all that, ZPs and that Void Prison, it only hit the Odin. And it wasn't really a big follow-up to it. So I kind of expected Team Heroes Hype to take a little bit more of that fight, but their positioning just was not on point.
Yeah, Suki getting cut out there. They don't have the polymorph to deal with the initiation. So LZ Gamer was a little more free to get in the front line, where before he always has the threat looming of the double polymorph. Same with the Uther, I'm sorry, not with the Uther, with ZP on the Zeratul. He didn't have to, the polymorph was no longer a threat, and that is going to enable them to be much more aggressive, and that's exactly what we saw, especially since Team Heroes have, as I mentioned, pushed the issues and overextended a little bit. So those two factors put together is exactly why Team Heroes ended up going down there. And they're, once again, they really want to get this bottom lane. They want to go, you got to keep, we want to get to keep ourselves. A lot of heroics here, or a lot of heroics are still up here. As I say, there's the Idra Archon. There is the follow-up Emerald win. Once again, LZ Gamer doesn't care. A cleanse on Isuki. He is going to be able to get away. Avoid Prison. Did not hit the Witch Doctor, actually, so Ravenous Spirit is still going. Completely uninterrupted. LZ Gamer completely caught in the back line. He is going to go down. Almost got away with the Eldruin's might. Wow, that was so close. The Void Prison just off the mark, so full duration Ravenous Spirit. Suki didn't get taken out, so a very good exchange for Heroes Hype, a very close team fight, and that's going to be a bottom 4 and level 20 for both these teams.
Yeah, the level 20 is going to be the big part there. Looking at it, a few blinks now going down, but mostly it's just improved ultimates going back and forth. And Heroes Hype, they see an advantage. There's no Tyrio here. There's no judgment. Yeah. ZPs has to get in here with that Void Prison, but it's already down. Finally, the Rain of Vengeance is going to hit, and it's going to be looking for Yugi, but the double bomb miss. It's not going to be the blow up on the Nazebo that we were looking for, but he still does go down in the long run. Kawhi Rice in the back with that Archon, able to finally take down the Butterfly. Here comes ZPs as well. The blink forward. We got that Ghost form Uther doing work, and that is going to be a 4-man team wipe for 30% damage on top of that core. Ursidon likely, I want to say he's going to get out of this one, but between the two Templar here, he is just absolutely going to drop.
Protoss, bro.
The Protoss, yeah, exactly right. So they had a much better engagement. Team Heroes Hype, they had a much better engagement, but they got too greedy. They went for the kill. Why not fall back? Why not get a Dragon Knight? Dragon Knight can push just as hard as a team by itself. And they had that man advantage. They had the map, but they didn't use it. They saw an advantage. They saw an opportunity to take the win, but unfortunately, it was just an illusion.
Yep, and they just a little too greedy. That's the second overextension they made that ended up into a full 5-man wipe with not much going well for them. This is going to enable Evil Geniuses to get themselves Dragon Knight. This mid fort's going to be dead to rights. I don't think it's going to be pushing for a keep, as the Witch Doctor, Brightwing, Arthas, and Hammer are going to be up here in a relatively small amount of time. So they're going to look to get some more map control, get these last out lane forts, which, as far as experience goes, isn't a big deal at this phase of the game. Both teams have all the talents they could possibly want. They're just looking to buffer their experience a little bit and maybe get some statistical advantages with a level advantage, because that's all we really get here in the late game. Though the Dragon Knight is a very long duration as well. Can't forget about that part. So full 50 seconds left with both these teams alive. So maybe they are going to try to get a keep here. It's all about, can Idra use the Dragon Knight effectively? Don't take too much damage. Just try to fall back, use your breath, hit the tower, just use it appropriately, guys. That's one thing about the Dragon Knight, is you don't just want to prematurely run in there and let it die, which is kind of what's happening right now. He's already down to 1/3 HP with a full 30-second duration still left.
Well, I mean, even if you don't get a keep out of it, you got the Dragon Knight, which means you denied it to your opponents.
Yes.
Taking out some of the forts, which is going to give them map control. They're also buying time for these knights to start marching down into this top lane. They're also wasting a lot of tower ammo on top of the phantom hit points that are on top of Idra, because those hit points really don't matter in the long run of things. He's getting off some good auto attacks. It's getting some hero damage. So there's still lots being done here with the Dragon Knight. It might not be a keep, yeah, sure, but the pressure is there. They've pushed down at least one more fort. They've been getting quite a bit of experience under their belt as well. And, you know, it's not as important past 20, but it still adds base stats for every level past it.
A lot of cooldowns being popped here, Sean. Odin, Emerald Win, Army of the Dead on the side of Team Heroes Hype. So they used a lot of cooldowns. Evil Geniuses is trying to back away for those cooldowns to just wear out. And Team Heroes Hype is trying to force the issue, but they've done it twice. They got team wipe. They have to be careful here. I know they feel like they have to do something with these cooldowns, but they have to make sure they don't get team wiped here, because if they get team wiped, that's going to be game. Evil Geniuses can just sweep in down to the bottom lane and end up getting the core. And Team Heroes Hype recognizes that. They're not, you know, 3 times the hat trick of getting team wiped because of overextension. I don't think they're going to be doing that here, but oh no. A good Void Prison onto 2. Team Heroes Hype is separated. They're not in a good position. Odin is down. Ursa's almost dead. Divine Hurricane going down. Idra's Archon with a Rain of Vengeance is going to take out 2 immediately. Haku's out of position. That's 3 going down. Ursa and Arthas have to completely back away.
That's
Evil Geniuses is going to go for this mid keep and possibly game. I agree. That's more than likely game, Sean.
60 seconds on the clock for everybody dead. It was a 1-2 punch into the hat trick. And I mean, you cannot, that was the dream setup right there. So many ults had already been popped out from the Heroes side. They got off a good 2-man VP. Everybody collapsed to try to defend, and that was it. I mean, the Divine Hurricane at level 20, it is so hard to avoid. I mean, cleanse or not, this is why you need that double polymorph. This is why you need Brightwing to stay on top of the Uther. But the problem is, he got hit and he was in that Void Prison, and there's absolutely nothing he could have done apart from that. So that'll be it. Evil Geniuses, you know, Heroes Hype bit off a bit too much that they could chew, and Heroes Hype brings it back very nicely.
Yeah, there's two big overextensions in the bottom lane. They initiated on the top lane. They popped a lot of cooldowns with no reprisal whatsoever. I wouldn't call it an overextension, but they definitely were extending themselves out into Evil Geniuses part of the map. Evil Geniuses just doing the smart thing, going, hey, you want to use an Odin and Army of the Dead? That's cool. We're going to go ahead, you know, and get in our base until that's over. That's exactly what they did. They retreated, waited for those cooldowns to get out. Team Heroes Hype continued to march forward. Once they realized that they weren't going to be successful with using those heroics, they immediately backed away. Evil Geniuses, good game sense, outmaneuvered Team Heroes Hype, specifically ZP, that got that literally game-winning Void Prison, because that is what won them the game, was them catching out the Witch Doctor and the Brightwing in that Void Prison. They went down immediately, and that really is just Evil Geniuses showing their experience right there, a little bit better game sense, and just were able to outmaneuver Team Heroes Hype at the end stage of the game, securing their victory.
It's just, I mean, we had that serial kill. We had shrines on the board. There's so many Merc camps they could have taken. Like, Evil Geniuses wasn't going to leave their base anytime soon. It's heartbreaking a little bit. I mean, Heroes Hype has traditionally struggled up against Evil Geniuses, struggled against some of these, you know, more established teams. But, you know, they keep coming back and they keep improving. And definitely we saw some big improvements there. I also got to say, you know, back to the draft, double specialists. You take them that early, you are setting yourself up, and I think a little bit of that definitely occurred here in this map.
I agree.
Congratulations, Evil Geniuses. They move on to semis, and do they have actually any opponents ready to go? I've been told Glorious actually forfeit. They did not check in, or they didn't make the timer, or something. So Tempest will actually be taking on Evil Geniuses here in the semis for Cup number 9. And that will leave us with the winner of Tempo Storm and ESV Wildfire to take on the winners of RGE APM and Prime Heroes Gaming. A lot of new names this week, Mr. Chef.
Chef,
Mr. Seth.
Is that Shane and Seth put together?
That is exactly Shane and Seth put together.
Does that mean like Chef is my twin brother?
Oh, you're not Cloud9, brother. I'm sorry.
I know. I've actually talked to Chef about that before. I'm like, you realize your name is my two names put together. So yeah, Evil Geniuses are going to move on to face ESV Tempest. That's going to be a good game. ESV, who had a good amount of success about 3-4 months ago, have fallen off a wee bit. They still been getting pretty good in the tournaments, but they haven't really gotten into any finals or anything like that as of recent. And there's a good possibility that they are going to be able to get into the finals today for that $100. I believe they already have a spot in the majors, not 100% on that, as there is 2 ESV teams. Evil Geniuses already has a spot in the major. Glorious, I believe, has a spot in the major. Obviously, Tempo Storm does. All the big name teams already do. But these teams are fighting for $100 spot in the majors, and I don't have
sure Wildfire made it
in front of me. Yeah,
I'm trying to think of it. Like the first one they didn't, and then we had Cloud9, Glorious, Evil Geniuses. Actually, maybe it could have been Wildfire on Friday. The name, I don't know. I'm blanking on who number 8 is, but you're right. I mean, we do have $100 on the line today, so we're going to find out exactly what game we're going to be doing next. It's likely going to be Evil Geniuses, because we're just going to be following them along, and we'll see who can win in the semis to make themselves available for the finals. We'll find out as we come back. Mr. Shane Gucher and FourCourt. See you in a few.